It is 11 p.m. on a Tuesday in April. You are staring at a screen. The ticker tape at the bottom of the broadcast is moving too fast to read, but you don't need to read it. You already know what it says. You know the names of the executives being interviewed. You know the PR-polished justifications they are about to offer. You know the specific shade of corporate blue used in the backdrop of the press conference. Most importantly, you know exactly how this story ends. You feel it in your chest. A strange, sickening sense of repetition. You've been here before. You've heard these promises of protecting the pyramid while watching the foundations being dismantled. You've seen the revolutionary new formats that look suspiciously like the old ones. This is the phenomenon of the modern football fan. This is why you get déjà vu. It isn't a glitch in your brain. It is a feature of the industry. In the world of global football, history doesn't just repeat itself. It is engineered to loop. We are told we are witnessing a new era, a bold step forward, or a necessary evolution. Yet, the same power struggles, the same financial collapses, and the same betrayals of the match-going fan happen with the regularity of a metronome. We live in a permanent state of new beginnings that lead us back to the exact same dead end. This isn't a coincidence. It is the result of a system that has traded its soul for a seat at the table of global capital. The feeling of déjà vu is simply your subconscious recognizing the bars of the cage. It is the realization that the game we love is being played in a hall of mirrors, where every reform is just a reflection of the same insatiable greed. We are trapped in a cycle of manufactured crises and false solutions. To understand why this keeps happening, we have to look past the branding. We have to look at the machinery. In April 2021, the world of football stood still. 12 of Europe's most powerful clubs announced the formation of a breakaway European Super League. The backlash was immediate. It was visceral. Fans took to the streets. Players spoke out. Governments threatened intervention. Within 48 hours, the project collapsed. We were told this was a victory for the little guy. We were told the fans had saved football. It felt like a definitive ending to a dark chapter. But if that was the end, why does the current landscape of European football feel so hauntingly familiar? Why does the new Champions League format, implemented by UEFA, look so remarkably similar to the very project we supposedly defeated? This is the core problem. The Super League didn't die, it was simply absorbed. UEFA didn't fight the Super League to save football. They fought it to maintain their monopoly on the revenue it would generate. The result is the Swiss model, a bloated, confusing league phase, designed to ensure that the biggest clubs play more games against each other, with almost zero risk of elimination. It is a Super League in all but name, dressed in the traditional colors of the governing body. This is the proof of the loop. When the elite clubs threatened to leave, the governing bodies didn't punish them. They bribed them to stay by giving them exactly what they wanted in the first place. This is why the sense of déjà vu is so pervasive. We are presented with a villain, the Super League, only to have the hero, UEFA, implement the villain's plan under a different logo. Look at the numbers. The new Champions League format increases the number of matches from 125 to 189. This isn't for the sake of competition. It is for the sake of inventory. In the eyes of broadcasters and private equity firms, football matches are not sporting events. They are content units. More units mean more advertising slots, more subscription fees, and more data points. The proof is in the scheduling. We are seeing matches played on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and now Thursdays. The calendar is being stretched to its absolute breaking point. The players are complaining of burnout. The fans are complaining of travel costs. But the revenue projections are up. This is the shock we are meant to ignore. The system is working exactly as intended, even as it breaks the people who make it possible. The cycle continues, because the financial stakes are too high for anyone to walk away. We see this in the domestic leagues as well. Every few years, the Premier League undergoes a strategic review. Every few years, there is a push to change the voting rights or the distribution of television money. In 2020, it was Project Big Picture. It was framed as a way to save the English Football League during the pandemic. In reality, it was a power grab by the Big Six to seize control of the league's governance. It was defeated. Yet today, we see the same discussions happening under the guise of an independent regulator. The names change: Rick Perry, Florentino Perez, Andrea Agnelli. But the objective remains constant: the consolidation of power and the elimination of risk. Financial risk is the enemy of the modern club owner. In a true sport, risk is the point. You can win or you can lose. You can be promoted or you can be relegated. But for the hedge funds and state-backed entities that now own the majority of top-flight clubs, risk is a bug that needs to be patched. This is why we see the constant push for protected status. They want the guaranteed revenue of the elite tier without the pesky requirement of having to earn it on the pitch every single year. When you see a club like Juventus or Manchester United struggle on the field, and then see the rules of European qualification change to favor historical performance, that is the loop in action. It is the safety net being woven while you watch. To truly understand why this feeling of déjà vu is so inescapable, we have to go back to 1992. This is the year the modern game was born, and the year the original sin was committed. The creation of the Premier League and the rebranding of the European Cup into the Champions League happened simultaneously. It was the moment football stopped being a community asset and started being a global commodity. Before 1992, the English First Division shared its wealth across all four professional tiers. After 1992, the top 20 clubs kept the lion's share for themselves. The breakaway wasn't a one-time event. It was the establishment of a trajectory. The 1990s gave us the illusion of infinite growth. Broadcast rights exploded from millions to billions. Stadiums were rebuilt into all-seater arenas. Players became global icons. But this growth came at a cost. The link between a club and its local community began to fray. The fan was rebranded as a customer. This historical expansion is crucial because it explains why we are so susceptible to the current cycle. We have been conditioned to believe that more is always better. More games, more stars, more money, more glitz. But we are reaching the end of the line. There are only so many hours in a day, and only so much money in a fan's pocket. Consider the transfer market. We see the same stories every summer. A young player is sold for £100 million. He has one good season, and his value triples. He has one bad season, and he is shipped out on loan with an option to buy. The numbers have become so astronomical that they have lost all meaning. We see clubs like Chelsea spending £1 billion in 3 windows, only to finish in mid-table. We see clubs like Barcelona pulling economic levers, selling off future television rights and internal production houses just to register new signings. It is a house of cards built on the assumption that the bubble will never burst. This is where the investigative lens reveals the most damning truth. The financial instability of the game is not an accident. It is a tool. When clubs are permanently on the edge of financial ruin, they are easier to control. They are more likely to vote for radical changes to the competition structure. They are more likely to accept investment from predatory sources. The financial fair play rules, originally pitched as a way to ensure sustainability, have instead been used to pull up the ladder. They prevent smaller clubs from spending enough to challenge the established elite, while the elite find ways to circumvent the rules through complex sponsorship deals with related parties. This wasn't a series of isolated mistakes. It was exactly how the system was designed to work. The mistakes are the distractions. While we argue about a VAR decision or a controversial tweet, the structural integrity of the sport is being eroded. The déjà vu you feel is the recognition of the pattern. You see a club get taken over by a sovereign wealth fund. There is a brief period of excitement, followed by a massive influx of cash, followed by a series of investigations into financial irregularities, followed by a shrug of the shoulders from the governing bodies. You've seen this with Manchester City. You've seen it with PSG. You are seeing it now with Newcastle United. The names of the states change, but the geopolitical strategy, the sports washing, remains identical. The expansion of the World Cup to 48 teams is another perfect example. FIFA tells us it is about developing the game in smaller nations. In reality, it is about securing votes for the incumbent presidency and maximizing the value of the tournament's commercial rights. It is the same playbook used by João Havelange in the 1970s and Sepp Blatter in the 1990s. They expand the tournament, they increase the revenue, and they distribute that revenue to national federations in exchange for political loyalty. It is a closed loop of patronage. The quality of the football suffers. More meaningless group games, more lopsided scores. But the political machine hums along perfectly. The wider implication of this constant repetition is the total alienation of the core audience. The match-going fan is now an afterthought. They are the atmosphere provided for the television cameras, a backdrop for the product being sold to audiences in markets thousands of miles away. Ticket prices continue to rise. Kickoff times are moved to suit global broadcasters with no regard for the people who actually have to travel to the stadium. The fan experience is now a series of monetization opportunities, halftime apps, official betting partners, and fan tokens that offer the illusion of influence while extracting actual currency. This alienation creates a specific kind of sadness. It is the sadness of watching something you love turn into something you merely consume. The communal aspect of football, the shared history, the local identity, the generational bond, is being replaced by a sterile, corporate facsimile. We are told that we are part of a global family, but families don't charge you £50 for a polyester shirt made in a sweatshop. Families don't move the 150-year-old tradition of the FA Cup replays to the scrap heap, because the big clubs are too tired from their lucrative pre-season tours in the United States and Asia. The institutional power in football is now so concentrated that change from within feels impossible. The governing bodies are captured by the clubs they are supposed to regulate. The clubs are captured by the markets they are supposed to serve. And the fans? The fans are captured by their own loyalty. The architects of modern football know that you won't walk away. They know that your club is part of your identity, and you can't simply change your identity because the CEO is a venture capitalist. They rely on your déjà vu turning into apathy. They want you to accept that this is just how things are. But how things are is a choice. The current state of football is the result of specific decisions made by specific people in specific boardrooms. It is not an act of God. It is not an inevitable consequence of capitalism. It is a failure of governance and a betrayal of trust. The feeling of déjà vu is a warning. It is your brain telling you that the story you are being told doesn't match the reality you are seeing. It is the realization that the new era is just the old era with a higher price tag. We see the same patterns in the treatment of players. They are treated like high-performance assets until they break, at which point they are discarded. The mental health crisis in football is a direct result of the relentless pressure of the loop. The players are expected to perform at an elite level every 3 days, to be perfect role models, and to ignore the systemic corruption surrounding them. When they speak out, they are told to stick to football. When they break down, the system simply finds a replacement from the endless conveyor belt of global talent. As we look toward the future, the cycle shows no signs of slowing down. We are already hearing talk of a global Super League. We are hearing about World Cups being held every 2 years. We are seeing the rise of multi-club ownership models, where a single entity owns clubs in 5 different countries, turning the beautiful game into a game of corporate synergy. This is the ultimate déjà vu, the fear that the game will eventually become one giant, seamless corporate entity, where the outcome of the matches is secondary to the performance of the share price. The final image of this journey is not a stadium full of cheering fans. It is an empty boardroom with a single glowing screen, showing a spreadsheet of projected earnings for the year 2034. The numbers are green. The growth is steady. The risk has been mitigated. But the game is gone. The soul of the sport has been traded for a certainty that it will never again be truly spontaneous, truly local, or truly ours. We are left with the question, how many times can you watch the same movie before you stop caring about the ending? How many times can you be told that the game is being saved while you watch it being sold? The déjà vu isn't a mystery. It is the sound of the same door slamming shut, over and over again. We are waiting for a change that never comes, because the people in charge are perfectly happy with the loop. They don't want a new story. They just want to sell you the same one again, with a slightly different cover. The stadium lights are dimming now. The broadcast is ending. The executives are heading to their cars. You sit in the silence of your living room, the blue light of the screen still flickering in your eyes. You feel that familiar tug of exhaustion and resentment. You know that tomorrow there will be a new scandal, a new revolutionary proposal, and a new reason to be outraged. And you know that you will tune in again. This is the ultimate victory of the system. It has made our own loyalty the engine of our discontent. The cycle is complete. The loop is closed. The game remains, but the meaning is draining away, one content unit at a time. We are witnesses to a slow-motion heist, where the treasure being stolen is our own history. And the most painful part of the déjà vu is the realization that we are still standing there, watching it happen, waiting for a different result that we know is never coming. Is this really the game we want? Or is it just the one we've been told we have to accept?